On August 8th, 2014, the first FNAF game came out. It took a while, but with YouTubers like Markiplier, the game skyrocketed and was known as one of the scariest games of that decade. Not too long later, on November 11th, 2014, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was released to much success. The game was different from the first one in the best way possible, and to this day is one of the best FNAF games to fans of the series. Again, in a short amount of time, on March 2nd, 2015, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 came out. Sadly, not many people liked this game. It was clunky, the phantoms were annoying, and multiple endings was confusing, especially with the ways that you obtained the good ending. But in the back of fans' minds, everyone was thinking the same thing. What about a free roam game? This idea was being circled around since the third game even came out, with the infamous Welcome to Freddyland teaser fooling a lot of people before his Candace fake. Scott must have seen those criticisms, because in the next game, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, released on July 23rd, 2015, he added a slight amount of free roaming. However, this isn't what people wanted out of a free roam game. So after Sister Location did the same type of roaming as FNAF 4 slightly upgraded, fans' ideas of a free roam game slowly dwindled away. That is, however, until Steelwool came into play. Years later, with the hit game Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted being made by Steelwool, Scott signed them up for a new FNAF game. Not much was known, only that with Steelwool's help, he could have a mainline FNAF game with 3D environments. Sadly, the game was delayed a bunch to disappointment by fans. However, in a PlayStation livestream, an official full trailer was released to the public, and with it came one big confirmation. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach was going to be free roam. Now, you did read the title correctly, and while hate might be too strong of a word, I very much don't like this FNAF game for multiple reasons. And before you FNAF fans come at me saying, yeah, well, you don't know anything about FNAF, you're only doing this for attention. Honey, I've been a FNAF fan ever since Markiplier made his first video on it. I played all the games, read most of the books, and have studied the lore for years, so I think I have more of an understanding than most of the community when it comes to this. Now, I won't be talking about the bugs, because most of the content creators I've watched have already talked about them. Plus, the game isn't even a month old by the time I'm writing the script. I'm here to talk about the actual problems about the game that actually matter and can't be fixed by a simple update. Now, I really don't want to touch on this, but I must in order to explain reasons why this game feels unfinished. I ask that you don't make my comments a political war zone, as I will not be stating my political beliefs in this video. This part is only meant for information purposes. It was leaked on Twitter that Scott had donated to the Republican political party, which some people didn't take too lightly. Scott was harassed and even doxxed, which made him go into early retirement to protect his family. He then handed the FNAF license off to Steelwool, which left the game unfinished. Steelwool then had to finish the game without any help from Scott. And with COVID going on, plus the Scott thing, Steelwool had a hard time making this game, which I understand, but it doesn't make up for the game being unfinished. How is it unfinished, you may ask? Well, let's get into that, shall we? Right off the bat, the game isn't that bad. You see all the main animatronics, learn the mechanics, eventually you'll make it to the daycare section, and this part is where it starts to feel a bit weird. Nothing huge though. However, it's after that section where things take a steady downhill. The game doesn't really have a clear sense of direction, which is made even worse by the multiple endings of the game, which I'll get into later. There was multiple points where I went into a location way earlier than I was meant to, and in turn softlocked me until I went to an earlier save. Which brings up another problem. In this game, they are scattered throughout the map in a Resident Evil 7 type situation, but with one key flaw. They're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. One place you'll find multiple save spots. Some might be beside another one, but in other areas there might be two, and those two will be hours away from each other. And the actual saving, don't get me started on the actual saving. They wanted to go for a saving where you can't just save wherever you want, and they also wanted to add some suspense to the actual saving. It takes 10 seconds to get into the actual save station, which on the server seems like a cool idea, right? Wrong. It's so slow, and in a game where it's so easy to die, that 10 seconds is huge. You know another way that they can make it so you can't just cheese it? Making the game not pause in the pause menu. Now that sounds dumb, right? But there's a game that did this very well, and if I can remember the name of it, I'll put gameplay of this. In this game, when you pause, the game doesn't freeze. You need to click another button in the actual pause menu to freeze the game, which also takes 3 seconds to do so. This made for extra suspense, as you couldn't just pause the game anytime that you were scared. I feel like FNAF should have done this instead of a 10-second save station. And for the actual saves, let me bring up Resident Evil 7 again. The save points in that game were like the ones in this game, except perfectly evened out and didn't take 7 billion years to save. The game itself also just feels wrong most of the time. I can't explain it. It just feels clunky and unfinished. Probably because Steelwool will rush the game. The problem with Steelwool is that it's a small company. I don't think it's indie, but it might be. But it's nothing big like Activision for sure. And plus, they only had 2 years to make this game. That's like if a COD game only had a year to develop. Oh wait. Couple this with the FNAF fanbase not usually waiting a long time between games releasing, and it just made Steelwool rush the game. In my opinion, they should have pushed this game back to 2023. Even if people would have gotten upset over it. It would make a way better and more polished game than the one that we have now. They need that time to flesh out the game and actually work on mechanics and characters. For example, Vanny. Vanny was in the game for at most 3 times, not including the endings. And that's not me hating on Vanny for being a new character. If you know me, I was really excited to see what they would do with Vanny. Listen, I don't hate Steelwool. If I did, I'd just refund the game, which I'm not going to do. I just think that they need more time to work on the game instead of tacking things on last minute. Like the time mechanic. It feels like Steel wanted to make a mission-based game with one, or maybe two endings, but they either remembered, or is forced to add it in the time mechanic last minute, because you know, it's a Five Nights at Freddy's game. All the games have a 12 PM to 6 AM situation. Their problem is, they just don't fit together in this game. And what made the time special in the old game was the fear of, am I going to make it through the night? But in this game, it doesn't really work like that. Hell, it doesn't work like that at all. Especially because of the lack of fear in this game. You know there's a problem when the Mapbot is the scariest character in the entire game. Listen, I'm happy that people like this game, but I feel like people are ignoring the actual problems just because, ooh, it's a new FNAF game. I don't hate Steelwool or anyone who worked on this game, but it would be a lie if I said I wasn't disappointed. Hopefully if there is a next game, which I'm not too sure about, and I'm not too sure if I want, hopefully they take more time and care into the game. Now go play RE7, it's Security Breach, but way better.